Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Christine Waddell, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 117, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations by viewers like you. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And this week, Friday, June 24th, the Neepawa Banner and Press. It's a 2-section paper, so we'll see what all we can get through in our time. Big news on the front page, which we'd all been looking forward to: celebration of culture. In recognition of Filipino Heritage Month, the Filipino community of Neepawa organized a full day of celebration on Saturday, June 18th. The festivities kicked off with a parade showcasing many of the different regions and cultures within the Philippines. And there are more pictures to be seen, and this photo is by Owen Devereaux. And we'll just skip over and see the rest of that story. Huge celebrations held for Filipino Heritage Month. And the first picture on the left is the winning float. And the participants all wearing matching shirts for each of the regions. Children dressed up, and another float that was Pearl of the Orient, beautifully decorated, and NCR, another region, and I can't make out the name of the last region, but as part of the Filipino Heritage Month festivities, a massive parade was organized and held in Neepawa Saturday, June 18th. Nearly 1,000 people are estimated to have participated in one form or another with the celebrations. After the parade concluded, an additional program of music and dancing took place at the Yellowhead Center. And going back to the beginning of the newspaper, Neepawa planning a bigger and better Canada Day by Owen Devereaux. Considering what's been going on the past 2.5 years, a lot of people will likely have built up some big expectations related to the local Canada Day celebrations. The town of Neepawa is doing everything it can to ensure those expectations are met and then some. Planning something special for the first time since 2019, the town is going ahead with its annual Canada Day festivities. Restrictions and other uncertainties related to COVID-19 forced local events to be cancelled in 2020 and 2021. But Nicole Cooper, Neepawa's Director of Recreation Services, told the Banner and Press that the town is hoping to make up for that with a day that is something special. It's great for us to be able to plan something like this, that everyone is welcome to attend. It's something we've been looking forward to, and I think as well something the community has been looking forward to. I think a lot of families are excited for this, so we're going to do what we can to make it memorable, noted Cooper. Some additional budget has been set aside for more fireworks. We took our planned budget from the Winterfest, which was usually around $2,500, and added that to Canada Day. Usually we spend around $7,500 for fireworks, but this year it will be $10,000. With inflation the way it is right now, you never know but we're planning for bigger and better than before. Activities throughout the afternoon. The majority of the day's events will begin after 3 p.m. to ensure families are not out when the temperatures will be at their peak. Cooper said in previous years they found there was a bit of a lull in attendance between noon and 3, so this should assist in keeping the activities busy throughout. Some of the events planned to coincide with the day include a free public swim at the Neepawa swimming pool, children's bouncy castle and bubble lab. For the adults, there will be a scheduled flyover of jets from the Canadian Air Division at around 3 p.m., as well as bonfires and live music set to start at 7 p.m. Cooper stated that several businesses and organizations such as Prairie Alliance Church, PAC, Neepawa, have been quick to offer their volunteer support. Others, such as Neepawa Gladstone Co-op, Home Hardware Neepawa, and Stride Credit Union, have been very supportive. She did add, however, that a few extra helping hands would always be welcome. Anyone wishing to help can contact the town office for more information. And something to look forward to. Plans still proceed on Home Hardware relocation. And there's a photo of a sign out at the site. And this is by Owen Devereaux. New facility a bit behind, but still planning to break ground soon. While a few factors have contributed towards slowing down the planned construction of the new Home Hardware building in Neepawa, the project will still be breaking ground soon enough. Earlier this year, it was announced that a brand new 20,000 square foot building and attached lumber storage facility was going to be built on 3.5 acres of land near the junction of the Yellowhead Highway and Veterans Way. When completed, it will be nearly double the size of the current Home Hardware's building, which is located at 268 Hamilton Street. Michelle Gerard, the owner and operator of Neepawa Home Hardware, said that they had hoped to be a little bit further in their plans than they are at the moment. She indicated there are some contributing factors. With the spring we've dealt with, the grounds are very wet, so we're hoping that within 2 weeks we'll be able to start working on site prep. We have a lot of excavation and a lot of backfilling that has to be done. We have to build the site up to a good level that will provide proper drainage, said Gerard. The location is a low site, so it holds the moisture fairly well. As well, the plans took longer to come than I had hoped, but that's how that goes. But now it's weather that holds us up. Gerard explained that the excavation process will require the removal of topsoil, delivery of fill to bring up the site, and then distribution of concrete, which is currently expected to start in the middle of July. She noted that the situation related to the weather could push back the opening a little bit. It might be a month later. We are hoping to start merchandising, setting up the shelving, and delivering of product at around October. Now we're looking at likely late November or December, so the opening date is looking more like February, indicated Gerard. Gerard remained confident that all the exterior work on the building itself will be done before the arrival of winter, though the paving of the parking lot will be more likely than not pushed to 2023. And in travel and entertainment, Margaret Laurence Home gearing up for a Manawaka Garden party, an ART in the middle of party emphasized. This is by Kira Patterson. The Margaret Laurence Home, MLH, is getting ready to host a unique fundraiser in July. Inspired by an event previously held in Bertel, the committee is going to put on a garden party with a twist. The Manawaka Garden Party will feature several local gardens plus the works of artists from the Neepawa area. It will take place Saturday, July 16th, between 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m., starting at the Margaret Laurence Home. The MLH board chose 3 gardens around town, plus the MLH garden, and will have artwork of more than a dozen different artists on display in each of the gardens. People in attendance will have a chance to tour all the gardens and admire the artwork throughout the day. Brenda Ferguson, board member and coordinator for MLH, stated the tickets can be purchased at the house, which is now open for the summer. The Margaret Laurence Home is where people will start. They will come in, pay for their ticket, and they'll get a booklet with a map and a little bios on all the artists and the homeowners, she explained. Once the attendees have their tickets and information booklets, they can take a look at the art that will be on display at the MLH grounds, then head out to whichever garden in the map they'd like to start with. Among the gardens indicated will be the Garden View Farm, owned by Glenda and Joe McPhee, located just 1 mile east of Neepawa and south of Highway 16. Within town, they will also showcase Julie and Don Barilla's garden on Brown Avenue across from the flats, and Debbie and Colin McNerney's garden, located on Broadway Avenue near the Lutheran Church. All 3 of these homeowners have beautiful yards, so it should be a fun day, Ferguson shared. The art featured will be all different mediums. Ferguson said there will be everything from paintings to photography to barbed wire art and fiber art. Ferguson added the MLH board would appreciate if people intending to participate could get in touch ahead of time, as they will need to know how many brochures to print for the event. People can email M. Laurence, that's LAURENCE, home at gmail.com, or call the home at 204-476-3612. They are also looking for volunteers to help with the event, manning stations at the different gardens to check tickets and stamp people's booklets. The stations will be under tents, so people will have a shady place to stay during their shifts. Anyone interested may contact the Margaret Laurence Home by phone or email. Ferguson shared that they hope to make this event an annual one, so people who would like to showcase their garden or their art at this event in the future can contact the home. The purpose of the event is to fundraise to help pay for the continued maintenance of the historic building. Other upcoming events, the MLH committee is focusing on continuing to bring income throughout the year, as upkeep on an old building can be very costly. They have a few other events and fundraisers planned for later in the year to help with that. The first is a 50-50 draw, which is currently going on. People can purchase tickets by going to or contacting the MLH. The winner could take home up to $2,499, as their lottery license allows them to sell just under $5,000 worth of tickets. Later in the summer, in mid-August, the MLH will once again host a Manitoba author event. Carolyn Finch, who previously wrote under the pen name Rebecca Lee Jenkins and has been guest at MLH in the past, will be at the home on August 11th to promote her latest series of books. Then in the fall, MLH plans to run another craft sale at the Legion. That will take place in October. To note on page A3, their Beautiful Plains School Division has an advertisement. I don't read advertisements. However, it does relate to the recognition of staff in the division, and it would be good when you pick up a copy to check that out and see the recognition of the staff that work in all levels of the school division. Also on this page is a Gladstone history picture. Grade 2 class of 1947 to 1948, and in it there's a large class of children, family names that you might recognize, and you best pick up a copy of your paper to check that out. On to the perspectives page. And there's a history picture with the beautiful Plains Museum. If someone can tell us what the Dundee block was and has become, it would be wonderful. Check that out. And we'll read a letter to the editor. A mishap at the Banner office. On Tuesday, May 24th, I went to the Neepawa Banner and Press to pick up 2 cash donations for the co-op gift cards for the Neepawa Area Health Auxiliary. After reaching the top of the stairs, I recall being dizzy, and backwards I went, falling hard on my back and hit my head, and unfortunately put a hole in the Banner wallboard. I left something for Ken to remember me by. I broke the femur of my right leg and was rushed by ambulance to Neepawa Hospital. I was transferred Wednesday morning to Concordia Hospital in Winnipeg and had surgery later that evening. My heartfelt thanks to the ambulance crew, hospital staff, and the Banner staff for their help and concern. But my biggest appreciation goes to Katie Ath, who took my car keys and car and drove it to my home to tell Reverend Borchardt what had happened to me. I was transferred back to Neepawa Hospital June 4th. I am improving and have to take one day at a time. Thank you to the hospital auxiliary members for taking over delivering the gift cards I had sold. Thank you to all my family and friends for keeping me in your prayers, and again your heartfelt thanks to the Banner staff for your love and concern. God bless. Jean Borchardt of Neepawa. And a couple of short things. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up to everyone who participated in the Filipino parade on Saturday, June 18th. A great effort, much appreciated and enjoyed. Also, thumbs up to the anticipated parade of the 2022 graduating class. Best wishes, Joan McGilvery. And this one, I am no road construction worker, but filling in the big hole on the hill on Brown Avenue with gravel is not working. The gravel keeps getting washed down the hill and has plugged the drainage hole. Then more gravel is added and the process is repeated. It's not a fix. If it can't be repaired properly, then just leave the hole empty. Our streets are like country roads with gravel everywhere. Janet Husak, Neepawa. And we'll read a long one now. Ken Waddell, right of center. His column, Good Enough Isn't Good Enough. That's good enough is an often stated message. It's also not true. It's a cop-out, an excuse to avoid excellence. Excellence should be the goal. Good enough is a fallback position when you can't achieve or perhaps can't afford excellence. I do not believe in overachieving or killing ourselves in pursuit of perfection, but in so many ways we fall short of excellence when it could be achieved. Columns could be better written, stories better researched, roads could be built better and made smoother. Maybe potholes could actually be filled in. Urban planning could be done better. No, good enough is not good enough. Our education levels could be higher and better. Our buildings could be more efficient and more economical. And speaking of buildings, makes me think of housing. We can't really say we are short of housing in Canada when many people have 2 or 3 houses. We can't legislate against that situation, but I do cringe when people say we are short of housing, and they may own 2 or 3. They can only live in one at a time. I don't have a solution. Maybe somebody else does. But at least mathematically speaking in Canada, we are not short of housing. As for towns and municipalities, the question they're always facing is, how are we doing all that we can? And if so, how to pay for it? Having been a member of council on 2 occasions and having covered municipal politics for over 30 years, I have a bit of insight as to how things work. There is never enough money to get everything done. Sometimes there isn't even enough money to complete the urgent projects. One thing councillors could do is apply more pressure through the Association of Manitoba Municipalities on the senior levels of government to implement one envelope funding. That would mean that instead of providing project by project funding on a piecemeal application, municipalities would get funding on a predictable annual basis. As it is now, everything from recreation centers to flood damage to water, sewer, and road construction is dependent on applying for funds and hoping to get in the serving pot before the food runs out. It makes for a very wasteful and messy process. In many cases, senior levels of government insist on over-engineering projects. 2 examples are the Park Lake Bridge at Neepawa and a bridge at Neepawa Golf Course. Millions are being wasted on those 2 projects alone due to over-engineering. A regular letter to the editor-writer, Fred Tate, questioned me when I said we may have more civil servants than we need. I suggest he look at the provincial and federal government and ask if we had one envelope funding from senior government to municipalities, if we would need so many people overseeing and complicating project applications. As a province, we certainly fall short of excellence. Manitoba is still a have-not province. One internet chart shows that the feds send Manitoba over $2 billion in transfer payments. We should hang our collective heads in shame. That Manitoba, rich in people, resources, land, and market opportunities, has to be on the federal welfare roll is mind-boggling. Good enough is clearly not good enough for us as a province. Just being good enough failed us immensely in our provincial response to COVID-19. We fell far short in the care of our elderly. What we asked of our care workers was wrong at many points as well. The biggest shortfall was in provision of ICU beds. North Dakota has far more than Manitoba per capita, and that does not seem right. Some would ask why we would need more ICU beds. We were good enough before. Were we? We didn't have enough for COVID-19, and we may be short again. If we have another pandemic or a disaster in the future, we will be short again. Just imagine if we had a major hotel fire, gas explosion, or an air crash in Manitoba. We simply aren't prepared for a major incident, and COVID-19 proved that point clearly. At all levels of government and business, we could do more. We could be better, faster, and more productive, and with less stress. We could grow more of everything, process more food, mine more minerals. There is no limit to the potential for Manitoba and Manitobans. The biggest challenge for us is that we could do more. Yes, good enough has to go as we continue to strive for excellence. Manitoba should spend less time on rejigging slogans and more time on actually rejigging our policies, procedures, and planning. Excellence has been achieved in Manitoba not nearly often enough. Let's hope we can get where we need to be so that excellence is achieved far more often than just good enough. The Tundra cartoon today is 2 little birdhouses on their pegs out in the yard, and one bird is busily building a nest on top of the roof of the birdhouse, and the other bird looks out and says from the second birdhouse and says, "Dude, you are totally missing the point." Don't we all? And Homebody's guest column by Rita's sister, B. Taves, on being alien. Rita is one of my younger sisters. She and I were born in Winkler, Manitoba, and lived on a farm in Kane until 1954, when our family moved to a farm in Graysville. Dad sent me to help my grandmother in Morden in January 1962. Our paths diverged so widely then that we sometimes speak of our relative experience as if we were strangers rather than blood relatives. Let me explain. In 1971, after having completed university, become a teacher, married, and born a baby boy, my husband and I decided to teach in Australia. Rita stayed in Manitoba. That's 51 years of being on different continents. I visited Canada every couple of years, and Rita visited me in Australia. We took trips to Malaysia, Moscow, and Paris as well. But basically, she became more involved in her life in Manitoba, and I became more and more narrow in my appreciation of Canada. Were it not for family and friends, I would not visit. However, I still sound like a Canadian. My accent has not left me. Some Australians, a lot actually, words have entered my vocabulary. But I sound like a Canadian. That's not a bad thing. Why does that make me alien? When I speak, people assume I am from Manitoba and that I should know what's going on. I don't, though, as I am an Australian citizen and know what's going on there. I feel like an alien in Canada. Now consider this. In Australia, I know who was elected, Labour, and what COVID-19 did to us. Not good. What is happening to the Great Barrier Reef? It's bleaching. Why Uluru could not be climbed. It's sacred to the Aborigines. And so on. But I sound like I just got off the boat. When I meet someone new, the first personal question they ask is, "Are you American or Canadian?" After my withering answer, they say, "How long have you been here?" When I say 50 years, they invariably tritely say, "You haven't lost your accent." No, I have not lost my accent. Was an adult when I immigrated, visited Canada often, and worked abroad for 18 years with American and Canadian teachers. I sound Canadian. But I know more about Australia than many people who were born there. I try to become involved in the life of the communities in which I live. Now that I am retired, I walk with one group, raise money for education and children with another, and work in an op shop, thrift store. But I don't sound like I belong in Australia. I am constantly being treated like an alien. Let me be brief and succinct. In Canada, I feel like an alien, but I'm treated like I belong. In Australia, I feel like I belong, but I'm treated like an alien. In both countries, my families are the reason I visit Canada and stay in Australia. It's easy being in a third country. Thailand springs to mind. I am an alien, and I know it, and am treated as such. How easy is that? Good perspective. Faithfully Yours, Constructive Criticism. This is part 3 by Neil Stroshine. In this series of columns, I am offering some practical suggestions to help express our displeasure with policies proposed for actions taken by those in authority, whether they are at the local, provincial, or national level. In expressing displeasure, we want to be more than just speak words of criticism. We want to offer creative alternatives to the measures being proposed, and we want to speak so that the people will listen. So that people will listen, will take our words seriously, and will act on them. This is where many of today's protests fail. When you read the signs protesters display or listen to the words they speak, One thing becomes clear: they have identified the issues that concern them and who, in their view, is responsible for their concerns they have. But their protests achieve very little, mainly due to the attitudes they display and the language they use and their conduct during the event itself. If we wish to speak so that others will listen, we must do three things. First, we must respect the position people hold, even though we find it difficult or at least at times impossible. To respect the people themselves, we must. Human history is filled with stories of kings, emperors, prime ministers, and other political leaders who were some of the nastiest wretches to ever slither across the pages of human history. They weren't the type of people you'd invite to your home for Thanksgiving dinner, and if you met them on the street, you'd be tempted to cross over to the other side just to avoid eye contact with them. But they were leaders of state, and as such, they were to be respected because of the position they held. That applies today as well. Heads of state are people. They aren't perfect. They have personality traits and beliefs that bother or offend some, which may explain why we didn't vote for them. But they were elected in a free and fair election, and until their term expires, they are the heads of state and are worthy of the honor due to all elected heads of state. Second, we must limit our criticism to actions and avoid all costs trying to guess their motives for doing something. You and I can't read minds, so it is inappropriate for us to suggest that the actions of our heads of state are the result of sinister motives on their part, or are part of some global conspiracy for world domination. But thanks to electronic and print media, we can easily verify inappropriate actions and offensive words and base our criticism on facts that those being criticized cannot refute. Third, we must be factual in our criticism. It's not enough to merely say, I don't agree with this proposal and I don't think your actions were appropriate. Why don't we agree with their proposals? Or why do we feel they acted inappropriately in certain situations? When evaluating government proposals, I like to give the people who drafted them the benefit of the doubt. They believe that their proposals will address the concerns of those in need. But while some of the proposals may be quite effective for those who live in major urban centers, they may cause more problems when implemented in rural Manitoba. Public input, facts, and figures that reveal the negative impact a proposal will have on us is an essential part of the democratic process. If our input leads to change, great. If it is ignored, mocked, or ridiculed, we have another option. More on that in the next 2 weeks. And from Addie Oberlin, her observation. This week we were invited to another barbecue. This time it was for seniors in our district. It was for those 55 and over, so some of the younger seniors also came. It was such an uplifting experience to see people with walkers and wheelchairs having a great time. Even buses arrived from the extended care, and the staff helped with handing out food or getting a plate ready. What a great way to treat seniors during Senior Week. I wonder if maybe this was the only time during the year they were getting out from where they lived. There are many very lonely elderly who have no family to care for them. I thank the Lord for giving these people an opportunity to enjoy a special outing and socialize with others. God has told us to love Him and to love with our whole hearts and our neighbor as ourselves. I felt this was demonstrated here. And Helen has another wonderful column on the next page. Helen Drysdale out of Helen's Kitchen. Wawanesa Insurance. When your building catches fire and by wicked wind is fanned and spreads to all the others till you have nothing left but land, There's a company to save you with a check in your hand. It's the good old Wawanisa. What company supplies you with extinguishers so fine, with reductions on your premium on either cash or time, and replaces them when used by you without a single dime? It's good old Wawanisa. And this was by H. Leslie Perrin. And she goes on to talk the idea to start up the Wawanisa Insurance Company in the southwestern Manitoba village of Wawanisa began when Alonzo Kempton, a salesman for a stock insurance company, and Charles Kerr, an accountant. As the story goes, they were out on a camping trip, sitting around the campfire, sipping their bottle of whiskey and discussing the hardships the farmers faced with the high cost of premium for their fire insurance. And there's so much more to read. If I get time, I'll come back to it. And the recipe at the bottom is apple rolls. Her recipes are always worth trying. And with Rural Outlook, there's pictures on that page. The Carberry Fire Hall hosts steak breakfast fundraiser. Pictured above, the Carberry Fire Department crew were busy making breakfast. Pictured left, the menu included eggs, beans, hash browns, and steak. Their fundraiser was on June 18th at the fire hall, and the money raised was used for new equipment for the fire department, namely 2 battery-powered Jaws of Life, and John Drinkwater was there to get those photos. And there's also a picture by John Drinkwater on the same page, lending a hand with post-flood cleanup in Minnedosa. On June 15th, missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints participated in a community service project to help clean up the sandbags following the recent flood in Minnedosa. And these people are named from left to right: missionary sisters Sorensen, Nielsen, Zobel, Wild, Parrish, Woodbury, Oliphant, Keller, Dilling, Chiles, Smith, Cotter, and missionary elders Carter and Morrell. Cleanup after a flood is often more difficult than during a flood to get help. Whoops, lost my page. And first we'll look to the future. On page A9, NACI students put the pedal to the metal. And this is by Kira Patterson, and the photos are courtesy of the NACI Yearbook Committee. And there's a picture of one of the NACI's power mechanics students preparing to round a corner while zipping across the football field at the bar stool races on June 15th. Brenda Nicholson was the lucky winner of the bar stool raffle. And that's on the right. Brenda's son, Mike Nicholson, stands with the bar stool racer and 3 of the power mechanics students who built it. The unit was the overall winner of the circuit race event and the top pick for the community judges that day. And the picture below shows another rider kicking up mud on a corner in their races. NACI Power Mechanics class put their projects to the test last week. On Wednesday, June 15th, the students took their bar stool racers, which they built in class, out to the NACI football field and raced around the course set up there. They had originally planned the event for Tuesday but had to push it to Wednesday due to the weather. After Tuesday's rain, the ground was very saturated with standing water still in some areas. Despite the soggy conditions, the students had lots of fun with both their time trial races and drag races as other schoolmates cheered them on from the stands. The raffle draw to win one of the bar stool racers also took place that day with Brenda Nicholson being the winner and her son picking it up. Metalwork teachers Royce Hollier stated that they were very happy with the event, and he's already heard of some younger students changing some of their course selections so they can join the power mechanics class next fall. He noted that increasing interest in the class was the whole point of the event, so that he's glad that there has been more awareness of the metalworks course because of the races. And looking back over the years, there's a picture that you won't be able to see, but shows the people who gathered a petition for a month back in 1982. 20 canvassers gathered Monday at the county courthouse to show off the results. A vote was scheduled for a few days later, which would decide the factor on whether or not the 100-year-old building would be kept. And I'm going to read that one first in the series because it is the featured year. 1982, almost 2,000 signed petition to keep beautiful Plains County Court building. About 1,900 people have signed a petition circulated in recent weeks by Save the County Court Building Committee coordinators Pat Trail and Dorothy Campbell. Results of the petition now completed will be forwarded to the councils and to the province. Also that year, 3 girl guides of the Neepawa Guide Troop received their all-round cord while attending camp June 11 to 13. Marcy McElman, Karen McGilvery, and Tracy Evans received their cord, which is the highest award in guiding. They all plan to be pathfinders this fall. A strong expression of public opinion, one way or the other, is needed Monday, June 28th, to help Neepawa's Town Council reach a decision on the county court building. Life just won't be the same in Wellwood after Jack's store closed June 30th, say many residents of the small village 20 miles south of Neepawa. The grocery store post office has served the village since 1910, first with present owner Jack Titus's father, C.E. Titus. He took over after returning from the war. The store was built around 1907, with Titus setting up the shop around 1910. C.E. Titus was postmaster for 35 years before retiring. Jack is ready to retire after 38 years, but it will be a sad day for Wellwood residents. His store is represented more than a store to them all. And we'll skip back to 110 years ago, June 25th, 1912. The biggest industry in Neepawa at the present time is the Canadian Northern Railway, with its 100 employees drawing $8,000 a month and maintaining 25 homes containing close to another 100 souls. In other words, the CNR is 10% of Neepawa. And 1922, Franklin. Fred Freeman Jr., now employed in Peddler's Garage, Neepawa, was a visitor at the parental home over the weekend. Arden. The storm of Thursday night caused a few windows to be broken and roofs to leak. A number of telephones put out of commission, but altogether Arden was not as unfortunate as some of the other storm-struck districts. Several farmers report having been hailed, and a stretch of 17 telephone poles to the south of the village are hopeless wreck. And there's more news from Arden and a tragedy in 1942 with the death of one of Neepawa's prominent boys in the person of Sergeant Roy Davidson. The news reached Neepawa early on Monday, shocking his wife and other relatives, as well as the entire community, who knew and thought a great deal of Roy. Roy died Sunday, June 21st, following serious injuries received Saturday, June 10th, while on active service. Roy is the son of Mr. and Mrs. George S. Davidson. So that was during World War II. And much more on that page, thanks to Casper Warren for the work they do. And more pictures. You really have to pick up a copy of the paper to appreciate all that's gone on. Neepawa welcomes Corral Communications as at official grand opening. And that is down in what was the Team Electronics building. And there's details there. Also renewing acquaintances. Neepawa businesses through the Chamber of Commerce met at Christensen TDS law offices to meet the staff and see their new facilities on Ellen. And Manitoba Pork. Oh, that's a sponsor. That's an ad. Buy some pork for your grill. Titans fish fry reels in the crowd. So hockey season locally may not be on, but the Titans volunteers, the onside committee, put on a pre-Father's Day fish fry Friday, June 17th. Crowds of people came to the Yellowhead Center to support the team and enjoy some fresh-made fish and chips for supper. And it shows the crowd and the lineup. And it was a good time. NACI Tigers donate to Neepawa Chemo Unit. And there's the Tigers in their pink jerseys. NACI Tigers hockey team presented a check for $3,000 to the chemotherapy unit at the Neepawa Hospital on June 15th. The money was raised through their second annual cancer care hockey game in January. They held a progressive 50-50, a puck toss, and a game day 50-50 to bolster their funds for the cause. Admission income for the game was also part of the total. This year's donation was a huge improvement from their first benefit game, which came to a total of $750. And it names the Tigers. Coach Mike Adams. Graduating players are Ryder Finney, Braden Baker, Reagan Biscoe, Lennon Carr, Ethan Lizotte, Dustin Cook, and the other coach, Troy Brister. And representatives from the hospital receiving the funds were Kristen Wilson and Tara McCarty. And we've seen the pictures of the Filipino celebration for Heritage Month. On to some sports. Neepawa Cubs snag 4th straight win. Owen Devereaux, and he's got a photo of the third baseman corrals a ground ball that was hit in his direction during the Cubs' 10-6 win over Austin on Friday, June 17th. Neepawa Cubs held off a late game comeback from the Austin A's to collect a 10-6 win in the Santa Clara Baseball League action. The Cubs, 4-3-0, jumped out to an impressive lead early in the game, scoring 9 runs in the first 3 innings. Neepawa added some more runs, one more run in the 6th inning to give them 10 for the night. Austin, 3-4-0, meanwhile, tried to mount a comeback late with 4 runs in the final 2 innings of play. It was just a case of too little too late, however, for the A's. Cole Krutkowicz was credited with the win for Neepawa as he provided a commanding complete game effort with 8 strikeouts. This latest win was Neepawa's 4th in a row and put them into 2nd place in the Santa Clara Baseball League standings, 1 game back of the Carberry Royals. Those 2 clubs face one another on Wednesday, June 22nd. The end results of the game was finalized after the Banner and Press publication deadline. And the stats for the Santa Clara Baseball are to the left of that story. And another Titan story, more hockey. Neepawa Titans alumni commits to Concordia University. Dallin Wilton looking forward to joining ACAC program. Owen Devereaux, and a photo from the files showing him in action. Neepawa Titans forward Dallin Wilton has committed to Concordia University of Edmonton and its hockey program for the 2022-23 season. Concordia University is an Alberta-based private university that was founded in 1921. Its hockey program is known as Concordia Thunder and plays in the 9-team Alberta Colleges Athletic Conference, ACAC. For his short time with the Titans, Wilton proved to be a leader for the team, both in the community and on the ice. After spending time in the Western Hockey League with the Kelowna Rockets and Vancouver Giants, Wilton committed to the Titans at the start of 21-22 MJHL season. He served as one of the alternate captains during the season and contributed 53 points, 17 goals, 36 assists, and in 54 games. Neepawa Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson commended Wilton for the commitments he brought to the team last season and wished him well in his new opportunity. Dallin came to us and was a great leader on and off the ice. We wish him nothing but success at the start of a new chapter in his playing and academic career, said Pearson. And thankful for the opportunity, in a quote released via the Neepawa Titans social media, Wilton expressed his gratitude for the chance he received via the MJHL organization. My time in Neepawa is something I will always remember. The Titans gave me an opportunity to excel and improve my game to new heights. I can't thank the coaching staff and community enough for making me feel at home, said Wilton. And William Morton Collegiate Institute, hectic spring for WMCI track athletes. And I'll go to the highlights. Notable results for the WMCI from Zone 7 championships include Karina Kusinikova, first place long jump, first place pentathlon; Reagan Tykrib, third pentathlon; Lacey Bidens, seventh in the 100 meter; Veronica Keske, sixth in the 100 meter, fifth in the 200 meter; Erica Nadeau, first in hurdles, 12th in 100 meter; Skylar Winters, seventh in javelin, first in shot put, first in discus; Cameron Denbo, third, 100 meters, sixth in javelin, first in long jump; Blake Rosling, third in 1500 meter, 21st in javelin; Noah Kantz, third in 3000 meter, eighth in javelin; Connor Braun, first in javelin, fourth in discus, and third in shot put; Liam Winters, first shot put, fourth discus, third javelin; Sam Kantz, second javelin, second shot put; Riley McBride, first javelin; Addie Heraklik, pardon for my not checking the pronunciation, fourth in 1500 meters, third 3000 meters; Joshua Harburg, second pentathlon; Mateo Otto, third pentathlon; and Rain Ballon, second discus, ninth shot put. In team events, they had an impressive day which included the following: Karina Kusinikova, Reagan Tygrib, Lacey Bidens, and Veronica Keske, first place 4x100; Dean Rosling, Nathan Braun, Matthew Pierce, and Riley McBride, first in the 4x400; Riley McBride, Ben Buer, Ada Hersklick, and Ryland Single, second in 4x400; and Riley McBride, Ben Buer, Mateo Otto, Ryland Single, first in the 4x100 And I'll flip to page 18. There's more results. The next meet was on June 9th, and again they executed very well. I know that we're running out of time. I don't want to cut them short, but there were a few noticeable finishes by Karina Kuznikova in the pentathlon. She ended up breaking the record for both the 100-meter and long jump in the pentathlon with a time of 13.04 and a jump of 4.58 meters. Long jump 13.04 meters, and so the results from the 2022 provincial track and field meet were the best ever done by a team from Gladstone in regards to overall medal count, with a gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze. This was a great opportunity for our athletes. They will be in 2023. They will be starting much earlier for their preparations, April 4th next year. Finally, the coaches and athletes would like to thank our graduating athletes from this year, who unfortunately only had 2 years to compete at provincial track and field, but made the most of it in their final year. Good luck to Nathan Braun, Riley McBride, Matthew Pierce for their leadership and hard work during all practices and in their competitions, which set a great example for all the younger athletes looking forward to the next year. While I'm on the back page, we do have pictures. John Drinkwater attended the Travelers' Day Parade and took pictures of some of the activities there. The Mayor of Brandon is in one picture, and float for Westman Dream for Kids. And that's on the inside back page. And on the opposing page, Neepawa Elks donate $3,000 to local nursery school. The Neepawa Cooperative Play Center, Neepawa Nursery School, recently got a boost of funding to help them do some renovations over the summer. The Neepawa Elks Lodge and Manitoba Elks Foundation each contributed $1,500 to give the nursery school a total of $3,000 for interior painting and repairs in the building. The money donated was raised through the sale of the Elks cash calendars. Members of the Neepawa Elks presented the check to the nursery school on Thursday, June 16th. And in the photo, there's Jim Small from the Elks, nursery school director Susan Paluk, Neepawa Elks member Gerald Buchanan, Doreen Robertson, Norma Reed, Bernice Nelson, Joan Kitson, Ron Petch, Morris Kay, and nursery school teaching assistant Michelle Otek. And they don't name the students in the front, partly privacy concerns, but there's some cute little kids in the front row. Maybe you'll recognize yours. Okay, mustn't skip over the contribution from Carberry North Cypress Langford, thanks to Gladwin Scott. And there's a community profile on Cassie Crerar. Cassie Crerar, age 19, Carberry Collegiate graduate, honor roll student, and former Westman Magic pitcher, has returned home after a year at Dewville University in Buffalo, New York. She had a good year in exercise and sports studies and also on the mound. Her coach was Megan Asham of Brandon, and they lost 4-3 in the 2022 Small College World Series final. She plans to return to Buffalo in the fall, but this summer plans to play with the combined Westman Magic Interlake Phillies, the Willies, squad coached by Ryan McLaughlin of Neepawa. Another photograph of Lisa White, named MVA Volunteer of the Year. That's Manitoba Volleyball Association. And Carberry Collegiate teacher, and she received this Volunteer of the Award from Volleyball Manitoba. Lisa White, Carberry Collegiate Home Economics teacher, was presented with the Manitoba Volleyball Association Volunteer of the Year Award at their 2022 Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Winnipeg, June 12th. White was nominated by Lee Carter, coach of the BU Bobcats women's team. She has been the director of the Cats Club program for 11 years. The Cats program expanded from 4 to 10 teams. Many of the teams attended the Nationals in either Edmonton or Calgary, and all the players improved their skills. She handled all the planning and organization, so the coaches only had to do the coaching. Lisa has also coached various teams U14 to U18. And Cougars Corner, 2 students from the Ukraine are currently in grade 8 and 10 at Carberry Collegiate. Although the Study Manitoba program has been discontinued, 4 international students, 2 from France and 1 from Chile and Switzerland, will study in Carberry this fall. This will be a good learning and cultural experience for everyone. Yes, Canada is the new program. The 2022 graduation exercises will be held in the gym Monday, June 27th, commencing at 4:30. This will be followed by the popular parade around Carberry between 6:30 and 7:30. The undergraduates awards ceremony will be June 28th at 2 p.m. Carberry athlete results of the Manitoba High School Sports Association Provincial Track and Field Championship at the University of Manitoba, June 9th to 11th. Dylan Hood earned a bronze medal in the triple jump with 11.47 meters. He also earned a personal best in long jump. Tyler Hood in the senior triple jump and in discus. Johnny Myers earned bronze in senior triple jump. He also made the finals in high jump and long jump with personal bests. Richard Laporte competed in the junior 1500 meter, getting a personal best, and in the 3000 meter he came in at 12.26 minutes. Lexi Unraw got a personal best and made the finals in 3 of her events. In all 3 of her events, she reached 1.35 meters in junior high jump, 5.18 meters in long jump, and in triple jump she made 8.95 meters. Carson Nakonchi threw a personal best in senior discus with a distance of 24.98 meters. Coach Scott Brown said, "I was pleased with the effort and commitment of my people displayed." And there's more on here and there talking about the upcoming fair and points from the meeting, the council meeting. I would be bereft and neglectful if I did not read the obituaries this week. David Laurie Pettigrew. With heavy hearts, the family of David Laurie Pettigrew Pebble would like to notify family and friends of the sudden passing on June 9th, 2022 in Invermere, BC. David was born on March 31st, 1948 in Spring Hill, Nova Scotia, and is survived by his cherished partner and beloved friend of 32 years, Beverly Myers, his daughter Amber Pettigrew of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Laurie Pettigrew Carey of St. Andrews, Manitoba, Bev's son Wade Myers of Invermere, BC, and daughter Angela Mans Richard of Carberry. Bev's mother, Millie Robertson, David's special mom of Carberry, his sisters Ruth Boss of Moose Jaw, and Holly Treween Jeff of Surrey, BC, and brother Randy Pettigrew of Parsboro, Nova Scotia, sister-in-law Terry Pettigrew of Aldergrove, BC, brother-in-law Rick Robertson, Tammy of Brandon, and brother-in-law Chuck Hillhorst, Nancy of Invermere, BC. David is also survived by his 7 grandchildren, Tyrell, Raylan, Jaden, Cody, Brianna, Bronny, and Daniel, and 5 great-grandchildren, Ava, Scarlett, Kara, Avery, and Gordon, and remembered fondly by nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles, cousins, and very close family friends. Dave was predeceased by his father, Earl Pettigrew, in Southampton, Nova Scotia, mother, Eva Pettigrew, of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, brother, Alan Pettigrew of Calgary, and sister-in-law, Bonnie Hillhorst of Invermere. David served proudly as a member of the RCMP. He retired as a sergeant after 28 years as part of the Marine Division East and West Coast, and then the Land Division, where he was posted in Churchill, Manitoba. It was at this posting he met his first wife, Carol Ann. Although most of Dave's service was spent in Manitoba, he had the opportunity to work jointly with the OPP in Kenora, Ontario. After enjoying a couple of years of retirement, Dave and Bev moved to Invermere, where he returned to work as a marshal for Panorama Golf Course and his good buddy Doug Tyson. He also spent several years working for Bighorn Meadows in Radiums, BC, until he decided it would be more fun to play in the mountains than work. One of Dave's passions was bagpiping. At the age of 35, he became a piper and played as part of the RCAA PD based in Portage la Prairie. He had the opportunity to play in Denmark and Halifax and Nova Scotia Tattoos. In keeping with David's wishes, there will be no funeral service. There will be a private family gathering at a later date in Nova Scotia for his interment, where he will be laid to rest with his father. In lieu of flowers, David and family would appreciate donations to your local children's hospital. A limb has fallen from the family tree that says, grieve not for me. Remember the best times, the laughter, the song, the good life I lived while I was strong. And another obituary, Cheryl Marjorie Carvey Nee Sparling, March 26, 1942 to May 30th, 2022. Cheryl was born in Neepawa, Manitoba, to Arthur and Marjorie Sparling in 1942. She was raised and schooled in Neepawa before moving to Winnipeg and worked for MTS for 3 years before marrying her husband Murray of 59 years. They had 2 children, Marty and Carolyn Torres. They moved to Cranbrook in 1971. She had 3 grandsons, Dr. Matthew Carvey in Cleveland, Ohio, and Aidan and Ethan Torres in Cranbrook. They were all the loves of her life. As well, she had 2 wonderful brothers, Wayne Sparling and family, Brandon, and Rick Sparling and family, Winnipeg. From 1985 to 2000, she worked in engineering as a secretary in a business that they owned. Retiring in 2000, they traveled to Alaska and to Mexico and various states. She earned her 10-year pin as an RCL volunteer. She was a member of the United Church and loved to sing with the choir. She met some very dear friends. A special thank you to the Reverend I.B.I. Chuan, minister of the United Church in Cranbrook. She was diagnosed with palliative pancreatic cancer in January 2022. The family would like to thank Dr. Usloyensen and Dr. Rolandi, Interior Health's remarkable nurses and commitment to care night nurses. Whoop. Think of me when you see a blue jay, my favorite color, the bird of Canada's baseball team, and God's wonderful blue sky. A celebration of life will be held on June 25th at 1 p.m. at the United Church in Cranbrook. Well, there's not much time left, so quick peek at the Farmers Advocate section. The staff has done an amazing job. Agriculture takes flight. And it is by Casper Warren. When farming is considered, one might picture a tractor or combine out in the field, but there's a lot more to it than that. Applying insecticides and even seeding itself can be done from the air with the use of spray planes. These sorts of applications are something that Western Canadian Aerial Limited, WCA, takes great pride in. Their history goes back to Ken Kane Aerial Spray 1988 Limited, owned and operated by Ken Kane. The business started with just one J3 Piper Cub airplane and later grew to a fleet of 17 planes. Sprague Richardson, owner of WCA, started his own agricultural flying career at the Potato Patch in Winkler, Manitoba. And there is so much detail. I cannot read it all. I almost should have skipped something else. But the photograph on the front page of the second section is Sprague Richardson, owner of WCA, and Justin McKenzie, general manager, with their 502 XP spray plane. And these fly out of Neepawa and are located out of Franklin. And a submitted photo from them on the next page. More farmers seeing the benefit of aerial applications. Something of great concern on the next page. Cattle producers have a beef with proposed food labels, and Kira Patterson has covered that extremely well. Proposed regulations from Health Canada could result in the packaging for ground beef, including a label stating that it's high in saturated fats. And John Drinkwater was at the Minnedosa Chamber of Commerce as they hosted an Ag Appreciation event with beef on a bun at the Minnedosa Community Center on June 15th. This is just an overview. Please pick up your copy. There's a good photo of a blast from the past with works 35 acres a day on 15 gallons of fuel. Saskatchewan farmer tells how he averages 3/7 of a gallon of gasoline per acre for disking and seeding. That's 35 acres a day. Ask one of your farm friends how much acreage they cover in a day now. Times have changed. That's in the Farmers Advocate section. There's a summation of provincial seeding making progress, still behind as of June 14th. John Gavzlowski has update on provincial pests and insects. And Wayne Hildebrand, always with a good article on conservation. The trust fund helps sustainability for prairie ecosystems in Manitoba's community pastures. Another submitted article from Manitoba government. And Sean Kabak always brings something good to the table, with the headline being Manitoba unveils new protein research strategy. And a part of that article deals with the avian influenza in Manitoba and Don't Label My Beef, about Health Canada's proposing regulations. On that, the back page this week is an advertorial, but a good one from Sunrise Credit Union. So we've run out of time. 28 pages of news and views and happenings around the area. Pick up your copy of the Neepawa Banner and Press this week. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your support and your time. Christine Waddell for NACTV reads the news.